Hello, slots enthusiasts. How are you? My name is John Friedel. Welcome to Professor Slots, a channel devoted to mastering casino slots so you can win your way to success. I need to finish getting set up here. I got so busy with the live chat, the pre-show, that I haven't hooked up yet. So give me a second. But in the meantime, today we're going to be diving into how to play slots in ways that match your gambling goals. It's hang on. It's great to see you all here again for another Professor Slots podcast and live stream. If you're with us live, be sure to say hello, ask your slots related questions, and share your gambling goal, because that's somewhat the center of what we're going to talk about today. Okay. I don't know how the TV anchors do it. Thanks to all the early arrivals that showed up before the start of the show and the friendly discussion we had in chat. Also, thanks to the many new slots enthusiasts that are continuing to show up on my weekly live stream. You are very welcome here. Let's see, where am I at? So today we're going to be talking about the slots playing slot styles based on your gambling goals. Lots of people coming in. Hi, everybody. I'll get to you in a minute. So a bankroll, which is the amount of cash a player has available to gamble at a casino on any given visit, almost entirely identifies a player's style of gambling. Whether a player can afford a small bankroll or a relatively large bankroll shouldn't be a judgment of performance. Instead, people get that kind of confused. Well, if I bet more, I win more. Well, the jackpot may be more, but you may have to invest more money. And did you win proportionally more or less? So these little details about definitions. So instead, a player's performance should be judged by how well their gambling goals are being met, and those goals are entirely the province of each player's wants, needs, and desires. What is your goal regarding slot machine gambling? Please comment below in the description, or if you're here in the live chat now, let us know what are you trying to do? Are you trying to make money? Are you trying to maximize comps? Are you trying to make money and maximize comps? What's your priority? So what follows are the most common styles of gambling I've observed or used successfully myself. Sometimes I've observed one style, then used it immediately myself. Other times I modify it somewhat based on an understanding of which goal I was aiming for at the time of that casino visit. The relative size of a bankroll affects each style of gambling, whether it be as little as $25 or as much as $2,500 for each gambling style. I've provided scenarios for substantially different bankroll sizes. The goal of this style is pure and simple entertainment. Of all the goals, it applies the most so style number one, entertainment with friends. The goal of this style is pure and simple entertainment. Of all the goals, it applies the most to most slot players. Perhaps it involves going to a casino with a few friends, having a few drinks, maybe watch a sports game at the bar. Wait a minute. Rings a bell? Super Bowl's tomorrow, right? I think we have a Chiefs fan among us on the live stream based on the pre-show comments. Chuck. Right. So maybe you watch a sports game, have dinner, and of course gamble a bit. If someone makes a few dollars, perhaps even wins $100 or $200, then they have bragging rights with their friends until the next casino visit. If everyone loses all the money they planned on spending, then hopefully they can prevent each other from making runs to the ATM for additional cash for withdrawals. And in this way, an enjoyable evening is had by all. And we have other Chiefs fans in the live chat. The parking lots or structures attached to casinos are filled with the cars and trucks of this type of gambler, the entertainment, fun night out gambler style. The total cost for a night of this type of gambling not including dinner and drinks, can easily be $100 or less. The financial goal is to be able to play for a while. We have thank you, Chuck. Chuck has donated $20.15 on the live chat. Please consider doing so yourself. I am trying to make ends meet, and if I cannot make ends meet in the next few months, possibly up to a year, I am going to have to make changes, like not do stuff. So your donations are valued, and thank you. Okay. There's plenty of interesting things being said in the live chat, but I wanted to get to a lot of content. There's I have possibly 2 hours worth of material, so I'm not sure if I'm going to split this up. We'll see how far it gets. The priority is to give you some good information, not necessarily all of it at once. One thing I'm trying to do is not be quite so talking so fast and getting through too much when it's not really being digested well enough. So this is a topic I haven't talked about too much before. Bits and pieces of it, will be familiar to you, but talking about player styles is something I haven't done in any place other than in the book. So, right. So the parking lots are filled with cars and trucks of entertainment gamblers. The financial goal is to be able to play for a while. They may or may not be a member of the casino's reward club, but if they are, this activity level places them well below the lowest tier of play, and they're all perfectly fine with that. Entertainment is the goal of these players. Entertainment here means they want to have the occasional bragging rights with their friends. Further, they want their bankroll to last long enough into the evening for them to realize that entertainment goal. So this may not be your gambling goal, but Magpie. Magpie 11 has donated $20.03, and this is a super chat, and he says, "Sorry, Chuck, TB will win." So, sports fans, right? Thank you, Magpie 11. So, so they want their bankroll to last long enough. I'll try to avoid the Super Bowl the discussion taking place in the live chat. Further, they want their bankroll to last long enough into the evening for them to realize that entertainment goal that they have. And I also recommend not just entertainment, but having a secondary goal to try if you successfully achieve your first primary goal. If you are completely entertained, I would suggest joining the casino's players club if you haven't already. Then always use your players card when gambling in a casino. For many clubs, players points accumulate at a rate of about 1 point per $5 spent gambling via slot machines. Now, it might be $4 spent, it might be some other number. It really does depend on each player's club. But let's say it's 1 point for every $5. That's what I've seen, and it's one of the bigger ones out there, Caesar's Rewards. So check with your individual players club for the exact ratio of dollars to points, as well as to understand the tier structure. For example, it can be a 4-tier or a 5-tier system. Again, how many points does it take to advance in a tier, and in the automatic tier advancement possible? Is automatic tier advancement possible perhaps on a probationary basis if the player is already a high tier player in another casino's players club? So somebody just said, whoa, doggies, LOL, in the live chat. In players programs, earning points from spending money gambling is standard. But those earned or awarded points can be converted into credits. Some of you may know this, some of you may not, can be converted into credits that can be used to, you may know this or you may not, can be used to purchase a variety of goods from the casino or any other properties associated with the casino. Or these accumulated credits may be used to buy a meal or converted to free slots play. While player credit can be used for many casino purchases, food is often the choice made by many players. So because the food is relatively cheap for a casino to provide, often casinos will stretch player credits so that they are worth double for food purchases at casino restaurants. I'm going to have an example of this coming up. It is necessary to review a bit of the fine print of each player's club website or brochure. You can also ask questions of the casino employee at the casino's club counter, but they may not have one. One of the things casinos are doing lately is putting in electronic kiosks, and it's very hard to ask off-the-cuff questions on, something that's not a frequently asked question. Even then, sometimes you don't get a good answer from the kiosk. It doesn't offer it. But on the other hand, that's not unusual. It's not unusual to get no good answer from the person behind the counter when you actually talk to somebody at the casino's club counter, because they're not a member and they haven't been through this. And not only are they not a member, they're not a high limit player, so they don't know anything other than maybe the first tier. And so there are plenty of times when I've gone to them and they just don't know the answer. And the website's pretty vague. They keep it that way. Little details I'm throwing there, little nuggets of gold. They keep it that way in the website so that they can make changes without having to notify anybody, and gives them some flexibility, particularly if there's like a big snowstorm and they have to cancel something. It's just a way of doing business. So it's hard to get good details on the players' clubs. But I've had another video on that where I go into, talk to fellow players, so those who have been part of the program for a while, and make sure you get what you need. And I'll, again, talk a little bit about this in a moment. So if the Players Club details can be a little overwhelming for players new to such systems, try not to let it prevent you from signing up for the Players Club itself. All comps tie into this club, and not signing up for it is a severe profit loss at any level of play. Signing up is usually optional, though. On a friend's night out, there may be a little choice of which casino to visit. If so, then any assessment to determine the best casino may well be overridden by the convenience of the casino's location for a group of friends. While perhaps the specific casino cannot be chosen, it's a group decision. The particular slot machine played may well be a matter of choice. So let's make a careful selection of slot machine. You can use any one of my winning strategies or my goodness ratio, already succinctly explained in other videos. So today we will have Paula as our moderator, and she will be online in about 7 minutes, I can see. So be nice until then in the live stream. My goodness, all those comments. Style number 2, it all goes back in. This is for maximum comps. In the previous style entertainment goal, an element of achieving maximum entertainment while gambling was to join and consistently use the player's club card. Optionally, it must be used during gambling to benefit from complementary gifts, the comps such systems provide. What was introduced as an element of style number 1 regarding comps must now be expanded. Why? Because earning complementary gifts are the primary focus of this second player style. Everything just explained applies to this second style, yet the difference between them is that this second style assumes a somewhat larger bankroll with more frequent visits to the casino. Consequently, compared to an entertainment focus with its comparatively limited investment in time and resources, you might only go to the casino once a year. It is possible to reach a higher player tier when the focus is entirely about achieving maximum comps with many more visits and potentially more gambling spend. and more gambling spend because of those more visits. So casinos offer a wide range of comps to its patrons, especially to those in the higher tiers, although not always entirely limited to the top players. The simplest of these comps are more along the lines of promotions offered through bulk mailings to every member of the casino club. At higher levels, you tend to get a booklet, which would have coupons or at least, oh, thank you, Chuck. He gave a super a sticker, and he said, "You are amazing." I should share that. Uh, need more hands. Um, right. So you can sign up for the club and maybe get some free slots play, but you also start getting mail flyers, but as you advance in tiers you'll get booklets, and that's something that you want to watch for because they have a lot of value. Just when and where to show up, slots tournaments and other things that you'll be invited to. So as a top tier player, I've engaged in serious conversations with my senior executive host regarding personal interests such as favorite foods, sports, and hobbies. So they have the casino can assign trained staff to you to cater to your needs and interests. At first, I was puzzled with all the interest from my host. As you may know, I went from lowest tier to top tier in 6 weeks, and skipped a couple, one or two. I don't know if it was the same time, 1 to 3 to then 4. Didn't even do 2. It lasted like 2 days or something. But I wasn't aware of comps, and I wasn't interested in comps until I started asking. So, what do you mean by comps? So at my early stage of gambling, I was quite successful, and my gambling goals were focused on cash flow and detecting winning patterns when playing slots. And I was utterly oblivious to almost everything else going on around me, including the simplest of comps. To do myself justice, I admit that I had little information to go on at first. I knew little of the Players Club or the advantages of joining it. I progressed so quickly through multiple Players Club tiers in that first 6 weeks, I skipped an entire tier without even noticing I'd done so. Any monthly player program booklets and other mail flyers went unnoticed. Even if, in 6 weeks, there might have been one towards the end. I had to get into the program. Everything happened so fast. So after 4 weeks of slots gambling, I had yet to go to the players counter at the casino to get my players card status updated from the first tier. It was only when a fellow player, high tier player, high limit player, Dustin, noticed that I hadn't, despite all my playing and winning that he had witnessed, and then he suggested I do so. It was the look of pity in his eye when I questioned whether it was necessary that convinced me I was seriously missing out on something important, and I wouldn't want you to do that. It wasn't about getting a new card. He was trying to tell me there was this thing called comps. I was missing out on all the complimentary gifts, meals, gifts, cruises, trips. After updating my player's card status to the top tier, I had to inform them that I had reached the criteria, and then they had to check to make sure to invite me, and that took a couple of days. This was 7 stars in the Caesars Rewards program. I did it 2 years in a row. It took longer the second year, longer than 6 weeks. So I was assigned a host. My host, a senior executive staff member working for the casino, specifically assigned to me to look after my wants and needs. That was strange. I mean, you can imagine, right? So whenever I showed up at the casino, no matter how busy it was, within 60 seconds of putting my player's card into a slot machine, that first time, someone in a suit was standing at my elbow asking if there was anything I needed, ignoring everybody else around them. I mean, they would walk through the crowd of people that might be in the high limit room. It was a busy time, and they were, like I might have mentioned before, busy. A lot of people were winning, but the host would walk through this crowd, and everybody would be like, "Hey, I have a question. Where are you going? Why are you walking away?" Because they were plowing through that crowd in the high limit room to get to me and to ask me if there was anything that I needed, which is They were quite serious. If it wasn't my host, it was another member of the staff explaining that my host had the day off, but could they help? Have you ever imagined what it would be like to have a personal assistant? If so, you're getting the general idea of this relatively unique experience. For a comps goal, focus on determining if receiving $10,000 per year in free stuff seems like it would be a gambling priority. In other words, is maximum comps your primary gambling goal? Let's see here. I missed showing Magpie's uh, um, uh, super chat. Right. So got to keep up with the live stream. um, uh, so if you think that $10,000, is a gambling in comps and free stuff is a priority, then maybe that's your primary gambling goal. And also remember, $10,000 per year is a low number. I recorded $9,735 in comps over my last 5 months of active gaming when maximizing comps wasn't even a gambling goal I fully understood at the time. So yeah, you can go over 10,000. You might say that's a lot of $100 stakes, but there's other things that I got: televisions, food processors. I think I got 3 bread makers. Give them to family, give them to family, give them to family every holiday. But you might need an extra room. But then at that time, my gambling goal was to learn, to see, refine, and then teach myself to use gambling patterns with these casino technologies, including how they were affecting the operation of not only the slot machines, but the Players Club. What I was learning was the multifaceted nature of these new technologies. So a consequence of making maximum comps your primary gambling goal is a need to increase the amount of money or bankroll needed to be spent on slots gambling relative to the prior entertainment style. And there's a way to not fully spend it. We'll talk about bankroll cycling in a moment, and that's what I want to get to before we take a break and check in with a very active live stream. To reach top tier status in 6 weeks, I managed an average bankroll of $5,600 over 25 visits. I mentioned the precise bankrolls and number of visits to provide an estimate of roughly how much it might take for a player to reach top tier themselves, perhaps spread over a full year rather than 6 weeks. If I'd instead gone to the casino over 1 year using much smaller bankrolls and spreading them out over many visits, this could also have resulted in top tier Players Club status. This scenario, I think it actually might be easier because more chance to get some multipliers on your Players Club when you first get to the casino. There's a limited number of that for those 6 weeks. I think it happened like once or twice for that day. Just relatively easier over a full year. So many people get so close to reaching that status by the end of the year and then fall short, maybe because the casino's closed for 2 months. So there's all kinds of discussion to be had about that. And that's, again, another video. So this scenario assumes casino conditions remain favorable as they were during my 6-week catapult to top tier status. It's just as possible this assumption won't be valid for your favorite casino, but it's also possible that one of my winning slot strategies will work at your casino. So maximizing comps usually requires putting all the winnings back into the machine, at least initially. Once the player tier of interest has been reached, then it may be advantageous to switch to another gambling goal. So imagine a player, let's talk a little bit about these numbers. Imagine a player is betting on an ideal slot machine, all right? These don't exist, ideal slot machines. And let's say the player has a bankroll of $3,000 and that this ideal slot machine has a 90% odds of winning, which is to say, on average, over the long term, and we'll actually compress this down and say, ideally, in the short term, you get back 90% of what you put in. And so let's say that a player takes this $3,000 bankroll, puts it in the machine, and every time he spends all of it, he gets 90% of it back. And let's say he does this for 20 bankroll cycles. What is the amount of bankroll remaining after each cycle? How much was spent in total? What was the player points earned, as well as the corresponding conversion of those points to player credits? I've assumed that 1 points are earned at 1 per $5, which is those points. Well, 100 of those points equals 1 credit. So I have a table, which I'll show you. Let's do that. Yeah, here we are. So let me show you here. So your initial bankroll on when you first sit down at the slot machine is $3,000. You spend all of it. Because you spent all of it at the rate we were talking about, a $1, 1 point for every $5 spent in rewards points, you got 600 rewards points. You might have first tier might be 0 to 5,000 points. So this got you 10% of the way to the second tier. If on this Players Club in general, I'm using approximate numbers and general numbers. You check your Players Club card program to see what it says. Let's see here. I want to make sure I don't have. Oop, did you already? There's Chuck. Yes, I wanted to share Chuck's. Go Chiefs. Right. So again, sit down, put in $3,000, spend the $3,000, but you won 90% of it. So when you start your second round on this winning with this slot machine that is cycling bankrolls, you have $2,700 because that's what you won with spending $3,000. So you spent $3,000. You spend the $2,700 and you win 90%, which is $24.30. But you added to your $3,000 spent. So now you've spent $5,700. And so it goes. You take the 90% of the $24.30 and you win $21.87, and you get 90% of that back and 90% of that back and 90% of that back. And over here in the total amount spent, you can see how quickly it climbs. Now, maybe you don't have a $3,000 bankroll. Maybe you have a $300 bankroll. Well, just take a 0 off each one of these. So let's say this is 300 instead of 3,000, and this is 270, it's 243, 218. And so you could end up with $300 bankroll, cycling it 20 times until it got down to $40.53. You could easily have on this average ideal turnaround with 90% odds of winning, you could have spent $2,635.27 of your $300 bankroll and still had $40.52 left. So I did this 28 times. I took $3,000 in, and in 6 weeks, I came in 28 times. Which is not every day. And I got to this number here being $750,000. Also, this is putting in $3,000 and getting out $405, but I was winning money more than I was losing. I wasn't losing at a 90% rate. I just put the $3,000 in, and any winnings I put in my pocket. So yes, it went down to 405, but I ended up having $4,171 on average on each of these trips. All right. So I wasn't just bankroll cycling. I was also winning. And we'll talk about that distinction in a moment. So, get up to this, I had 5,271 points from this session on this one slot machine. And I had gotten 1% of that back as rewards credits that I could spend at a shop in a casino for $52. So that's typical. And if it's 3,000 or 300, you can adjust the decimal place here. So it's a little astonishing how much money that you can spend, but you never actually see $26,000. You just you only saw the $3,000 and whatever you won. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to stop sharing this, and I want to see. So to decide if a goal of maximizing comps is the primary goal of your interest as a player, ask yourself if another fundamental goal is of obviously greater importance. Let's consider the adage, you can do anything you want, but not everything you want. Or as I tell my college students I teach, I don't care what your goal is, I care that you have a plan. I don't care what your plan is, I care that you have a plan. So I certainly understand a goal of more significant take-home money can be quite desirable, but it's cash in hand. Is cash in hand significantly more critical to you than non-monetary gifts? Both can be equally valuable depending on your lifestyle, depending on you. For example, are you readily able to travel? If so, then the travel comps can provide trips to many destinations. A player needs to understand. I was just talking to someone on a consultation yesterday, and they were telling me about, yes, we got the rooms paid for, and we're going to go do this, and no names and location, and $800 room credits. We can spend that on the slot machines, and for their 4-day trip. You can get some good deals, but not if you're not interested. If it's not part of your, the value of comps is based on your personal needs and interests. If you already travel a lot and would like to travel more, perhaps with friends and family, there you go. Or maybe, the comps can help you do that. I've had free trips to Vegas, including airfare and a limousine to and from the airport. That was wonderful. Then I took my family and on the second trip, on the second time, and they delighted in the limo. So family also enjoyed cruising the Caribbean for 7 days. If a player is not at all interested in travel, they can still maximize comps, but won't be taking advantage of the most expensive comps, those related to travel. But there are other exciting comps besides travel. What about your local sports teams, right? How about attending preseason opener at your local professional football stadium? I did that. From the casino's suite of free food and alcohol-age beverages. Yes, I know that's not how true fans watch football. You actually have to be cold out, not in a heated suite, but it was interesting to try it. So I'm going to one other thing I wanted to say was, if you do buy a meal and it's free, please remember to tip. I have shocked my server at fine dining establishments in the casino. Remember those $100 steaks I was telling you about? $100 steaks. Steaks. After a while, it was a lot. But you could tell from the servers that they didn't expect any tip because the meal was free. 20% of zero is zero. But I just want to remind people to please tip the servers. It's somewhat dependent on their salary. And so just because it didn't cost you anything doesn't mean. I ended up having $100 meals that were free, spending about $20. And eventually I was like, well, if I just went someplace that got a sandwich, it would be cheaper. But it was, wouldn't be fine dining. Anyway, please be aware that comps don't include a server's tip, or for that matter, alcohol, usually, unless you're on Las Vegas Strip. So let's check in with a live chat to briefly say hello. Wow. Paul is here. True. She says true football fans are cold. Sorry, I was in the suite. We had a glass window that we could open if we wanted to, but I stayed back. I took somebody who was adamant about, you have to clear 3 feet of snow off your chairs in the highest part of the bleachers in order to truly be a fan. But he didn't seem to mind the free alcohol that one time. So good morning, everybody. Got a lot to get through. I will try to breeze through. I think, was it TJ? No, where was that comment that I saw? Catherine's here. Hi, Catherine. Simples OL, Simple Soul 2. And Busy Mommy Reviews. We've been chatting a lot lately. Skinny Cricket is here. And let's see, Steve is here. He's in Green Bay. Magpie, who has donated. Suzanne from Oklahoma. CJ is here. Jim. A Texan Jack Potter Slots. Yeah, I need to have the members of the Facebook groups that I have. I have one for every state and one for international, national, domestic, to be like personal accounts, not business accounts. Sorry. Um, Compson Gaming Experience, Tom says, yep. Silverloft, hello. Gee, okay, I'm gonna avoid the taking a stand on Buccaneers or Chiefs. Let's see. Uh, Silverloft gave me some good advice. Thank you. You know what you said. Susanna, Uh, no, Suzette is new. She wants to know if I donate the super chats to charity. I don't. I do not. I don't. I donate to charity, but I don't take the super chats and donate to charity. I lost my job 6 months ago. I shouldn't say lost it. They removed it, and yeah, I was laid off along with 1 in 3 other aerospace engineers at my company, and saw it coming. So I started a business a few years before, and right now I'm kind of living on my savings, and then it's declining, but the business is Professor Slots is starting to return some money, but basically if I run out of money, I will lose everything, which is not entirely a bad thing. There's lots of things that I could just get rid of, but I would lose the home and hopefully not lose the cats. And but then I'm sure that I will continue to grow, and then a year later I might be able to recover. I'd rather not have to go through all of that, however. So it's something that causes me anxiety. And I will say your donations would be very much appreciated. It would help me to continue to be able to have these live streams and answer questions and have consults instead of going quiet for a year or more. I don't want to have to do that. Right. The hardest part is leaving. I know exactly what you mean by that. It is hard to leave the casino. Let's see. Suzette says, I'm listening to every word you're saying. Well, in case you missed some of this, you can also check. I don't often mention this, but I truly believe in providing a transcript. And so I have a transcript that will be available in the description below, so you can download the PDF on what I've said, except for the parts where I'm kind of like answering questions in the live chat. But the content will be there. And I do that for the podcast as well. And also I provide closed captioning on all my videos except for the live stream because I just can't. That's why the document's there. Okay. Chuck Lillard, it says free is a very good price. And questions directed to one another. Dave K said he recently recognized a style of slot machine that groups 8 to 10 spins into a make-believe bonus spin using wilds as groups, usually empty spins. Be careful of that. Sometimes these are meant to seem like that's what's happening, but careful reading of I've seen people been tricked by that. What was it? Dancing drums. People think dancing drums have something left over if someone doesn't if someone starts playing it and somebody else jumps on. But if you read the fine print on the pay table, it actually doesn't transfer to the next player, but it is done deliberately so that people think it does. So be aware that slot machine manufacturers suggest something, but if it has to be in the fine print in order for it to actually be true. That sounds like something that could be either way. Okay. Okay. I got a comment, love free play. Yeah, I do too. Ginger is in Venice, California, and love my site, watching all your videos, telling my husband all about your tips. We're ready to go. What's your thoughts on virtual roulette? I'm a slots person. If you are talking about not online, virtual roulette is like video poker. It's like comparing roulette, the table game, to virtual roulette is like comparing the table game of poker with actual cards to video poker. Yes, the poker rules still exist, um, but it's now a slot machine. So all the stuff I talk about also applies. I found Harrah's North Kansas City. I drove over to Harrah's North Kansas City. It's a riverboat casino because I saw they had incredible odds on eight. It was like 98% or something, just wonderful, right? Uh, uh, on eight machines, and I went in, used the kiosk, found those eight machines, and they were virtual roulette, and I was like, oh, so yeah, I don't. My philosophy is I don't care what the game is. I care about the location of the game, uh, in large part, and there's some other things like goodness ratio and some other stuff. Um, right, moving on. Oh, something happened? It did. Darla. Thank you, Darla. Darla has given a super chat. Super chat. She says, "Thank you. Thank you. Again, I am trying to survive." Uh, let's see it. Let's see. Oh, since we're kind of talking about this, why don't I share that? I'm going to switch over to this. So if you go to professorslots.com, some of you may be shy, and there is a little dollar sign at the bottom of the live chat that you can click on, but all the people who are listening, watching later won't have this to click on, and won't have, and people listening on the podcast. So what you can do is go to Professor Slots. Let's see, I need to put it in the HTTPS. I'll put this in the comments and say it out loud for you. It would be professorslots.com/tip. And if you go there, you will come to this screen that I'm showing you here. It is PayPal, and you can choose to donate with donate. You can give me a tip with using your PayPal account or with a debit or credit card, any amount that you care to choose. And this is where you'd go to do that if you don't want to necessarily do it in the live chat. Maybe you're not here live, and that is appreciated, as I mentioned. Right. So, my goodness, there's so many of these. I need to get back to our content for today. Okay. Lots of food discussions. I guess I brought up food. Is it lunchtime? Yeah. Okay. There's a variety of things that can happen with your slots cup. I've had an entire live stream devoted to whether or not you should use a player's card, and that's available out there. It was a fun discussion. All right. IMO cards and tracking are important to record your losses to offset your wins on taxable jackpots. Jim, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. There is no standard format for win-loss statements. Some just offer the difference, positive or negative, and that's all you get. The IRS has been very clear. They will do their own subtraction. They would like to know how much you spent, how much you won, not the difference. So yes, it's great what you're talking about, the records, when it's a player's program that actually provides these records that are actually useful, but so many don't. There's no standard. And as a consequence, the IRS says that's secondary data. It's secondary back, it's like making, withdrawal slips. If you got them, sure. If you're being audited, that would be a great thing to have, but they don't consider them primary. What is primary is something that's amazing to me is that the IRS will trust you. If you make a spreadsheet, written, electronic, make a spreadsheet, the date, the casino, how much it took in, how much you left with, just that, and you'd want to do more than that because there's some useful comments you can make about which game you play and all that. That would help you with winning. But for the IRS's sake, it's all right there. If you Google gambling records on the IRS.gov site, they'll tell you all of this. And so, they get downright finicky if they don't have all the information. And it may very well be true for you for your casino in California, Jim, but it's not universal. Mine show the difference. They don't show how much I want to spend. It was just incomplete, and for many players clubs. Right, Cheryl's Adventures in Slots, 100 something a year, 100,000 something a year for 7 stars for gambling bankroll. Yeah. Don't want to get it down into the weeds. Porterhouse. Okay, we're still talking about steaks. Ginger can believe it. I survived the casino fire at Pachanga in Temecula, California. Out of my so you were in a hotel, the casino hotel. Drank by the pool in your bathrobe, and they compensated by giving you a suite. Wow. Yeah, I was stuck in a snow. I was at the casino for long hours, and it snowed and then got really bad. And the hosts started coming around. Everybody that was still in the casino, it wasn't a lot of us, even though it was a big casino. They said, "We got a room for you. It's too dangerous. Don't go home. We got a room for you." And it was all comped, and that was just for not just high play. It was anybody in the casino. So there's stuff like that can happen. I like, is it Golden Nugget, the one in Lake Charles, Louisiana? They housed the electrical workers. I think it was Jan that told me this. Housed the she sent me a report or something, a news article, and they housed the electrical workers so that they would have a place to stay to sleep when they're after the hurricane. And I still feel fond for them. I mean, one of their hotels had the roof blown off, but the other one is apparently where they put them. I don't think they put them in the hotel with the roof blown off. There's video of it in the news. It was Slot Grammy is here. Hi, Slot King. There's actually a guy in Australia. I think he's getting into his mid 80s at this point, and he was very popular with progressive slot machines back in the 70s. And he calls himself the Slots King, SLOTZ. So, I don't copyright in place for that with Slots King, but thank you. Yeah, lots of conversations here. Someone is saying, are room rates dropping? If room rates drop, will that mean that you could predict how the casino is going to go? Well, I would say if the room rates are dropping, then the casino odds of return would actually be worse. Because if they have to, if they're having financial problems, then why would they just stop at giving out free rooms? That's to get people to come in and spend money. And so why wouldn't they try to, we've talked about this. I don't like going to promotions because, they know I will go. They know I will be there, and that's not ideal. I want to go when they don't know I'm going to be there. Not me personally, but anybody who walks in during a promotion is, why would they win? So I like to go when I think I'll win rather than when they are telling me that when they're sort of like hinting that they won't pay me because that's why they're having the promotion. They're trying to make a big night for themselves. Right. All right. I'm going to get back to things. There's many more comments. By the way, I am inundated with comments and emails. So I spend a few hours every day answering them. And after that, I kind of have to let them go. So before it used to be Mary Beth masking the world one face at a time. Okay, where do I find old content? ProfessorSlots.com. That's home base for me. The live streams go away after not too long. They're still out there, but you can find them on my website. If you go to my podcast, there's show notes there, and that's really where everything is at. And I have to be choosy about what I put on YouTube. Excuse me, what I put on YouTube. in order to make it a good experience for everybody. But the website gets everything, and there's hundreds of, stuff there. But the website gets everything, and there's hundreds of, stuff there, including YouTube was more of a recent development, and so I'm still getting caught up. There's so much to upload, hundreds of videos still to do, and all the time. I think I have. Let's see. I just added these like the last couple of days. Machines with a view. Do big jackpots happen? When strategy one works, but you still lose money. How to progress in slots gambling to become a bigger winner. Tribal gaming, progressing in styles. Yeah, so there's a lot to get to, and I am bumping up the number of videos. I'm getting back to the content, but I'm bumping up the number of videos to hopefully one per day. Well, I don't know quite how much I can manage to do in a week, but I'm going to push myself to do more. All right. So we've talked about everything I wanted to talk about. Let's talk about style number 3, maximize, and see if I can get these done in half these done in 10 minutes. Style number 3, maximum taxable jackpots. Maximizing the number and amount of jackpots is somewhat similar yet slightly different from maximizing comps. The goal of maximizing comps is accomplished by increasing the number of points and therefore credits earned. So I'm going to go back to shutting this not sharing this anymore. Where are you at? There you are. And there. All right. Hello. So where was that? Oh yeah. Hundreds of videos. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing one a day for the next year and have, put up 365 of them. Thousands eventually. Yeah. Lots to do. For most people trying to maximize comps, sufficient Players Club points are earned by cycling bankrolls. Doing so wins comps from the casinos, especially at higher tier levels. As long as such cycling continues, no taxable jackpots are technically needed to accomplish the goals of maximum comps style of gambling. But to maximize comps, players aren't precisely looking for a slot machine that is paying out taxable jackpots. They're looking for a loose machine. If, for example, they find a slot machine that pays out $25 for every $25 spent, or to $500 for every $500 spent, then they found a slot machine which cycles bankrolls, and these generate Players Club points. However, if a slots gambler with a goal of maximum taxable jackpot and very little interest in comps were to play that same bankroll cycle machine, they'd have a tough decision ahead of them. The first decision point is related to their actual level of interest in earning comps. If completely disinterested, the player would probably move on to any slot machine with a performance for which they are looking. But that's only a probable decision because of the next decision point, which is that slot machines cycling bankrolls can be misread as only cycling bankrolls. I showed you my sheet of numbers. Where is it? There it is. Here. My sheet of numbers, and I said that I didn't get, I had $3,000. I got down to 405, but I was winning hand pays. And so in my pocket, by the time this is all over, I had almost $4,000. With the 400, it was just over $4,000. So this is cycling bankrolls, but my experience was cycling bankrolls and winning hand pays. So that's, if you sit down on a machine as someone who wants to make money and you find it's cycling bankrolls, well, is it? Why don't you cycle for like 4 hours and see if you win any hand pays? I mean, maybe you will, maybe you won't. Maybe it just cycles but do you want to risk the chance that it's not like, well, cycle bankrolls and every 3 hours, every 2 hours, you get like a $5,000 hand pay? Well, hope you don't get tired of sitting. This is one of the things I've talked about in the past, where you find a winning machine and you can't leave. No restroom breaks, or there's, no food. Don't drink too much. Don't drink too much alcohol. You to keep it going, you need to take certain actions. So one of the things I also want to mention is that if you're winning a hand pay, if you're winning a taxable jackpot, they're all taxable, but I'm saying when I say taxable jackpot, what I mean is, in case the IRS is listening, what I mean is it's taxable at the moment of winning it, rather than taxable when I go home and do my records. So taxable jackpots, in my opinion, come in 3 different varieties. Those are, on a quarter machine, you might win $100. All right, that's the lowest level. On a $5 denomination machine, you might win $1,500. All right. The first one has a top jackpot of 2,500, and the high limit machine has a top jackpot of 150,000. So these regular low level $100, wins on a quarter machine, that's typical. I call them regular jackpots, regular wins. But the next one up is higher. It's about 10% of the top jackpot. So if you won $250 on a 25-cent denomination slot machine, or you won $15,000 on a high limit machine, which has a maximum jackpot of 150,000, those are rare. Now, I've had enough taxable jackpots, W2Gs, in order to be able to look at it and go, it's really interesting that every 30 hand pays, every 30 taxable jackpots, 29 of them were these, $1,500 jackpots, maybe up to $5,000, something in that range on a $5 denomination slot machine. 29 of them were, but the 30th one, right around the 30th one, every 30 out of 90, it was 10% of the top jackpot, $27,000, $14,000, where this is rare. And of course, I've never won the top jackpot. I won the top jackpot on a quarter machine once. It was 4,000 credits. I won $1,000 for 4,000 credits on a quarter machine at my second casino that I ever went to. Other than that, I've not done it on a high limit slot machine. Right. How are we doing on time? Not much. Style number 4 is the hummingbird, which is, you want to assess the casino. You want to try different slot machines. How do you know if something, if a slot machine is bankroll? If it's bankroll cycling, well, you have to play machines and play machines and play machines, but make 20 bets. See what happens. And if it doesn't do what you're looking for in any, comps, blackjack, jackpots, any kind of wins whatsoever, stop. Go to another machine. I call this the hummingbird approach. So this is how you learn a new casino, discover whether, try. You have to play in order to see if you might win. But 20 bets is enough, and just see what happens. And of course, there's all the winning strategies and other things that we could talk about. But before you start playing in a new casino, just watch the floor for a while, perhaps a whole hour, and note activity and get a feel for the place. What you also want to listen for is the sort of like noise level. I don't mean a lot of people come and go. I mean, sometimes they're happy and sometimes they're not. And when they're happy, they're loud, and when they're not, they're quieter. And why are they happy? Because they're winning at slots. So that's the time to play. So in order to be able to tell if a place is louder than usual, you have to know what usual is so you can compare. And that's what you want to do when you first get there, and see if it's, just hang out for an hour, see what it's like, and then bet 20 bets per machine until you find a machine that cycles your bankroll. And maybe if it cycles your bankroll, every hour or two might give you a hand pay. I'm being succinct here. So there's a style number 5, and I mentioned this one. It's employees of another casino property, right? So you have someone in the casino they're playing, but they're actually work for a different casino. So, their job 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, is watching other slots players as they work to pay hand pays, or they're slot mechanics, or they're in the food services area. They just see a lot of this. And so they see stuff, but they can't use it at their casino because most of these people, most of the time, can't gamble at the same casino. Some of the food personnel I know can. And the rules are always different. But what you want to do is, yep, I'm good. What you want to do if you are an employee, and I've been meeting more and more people who are fans and who are employees of another casino property, you can use what you see at your casino and try it out at others, but understand that you're missing vital pieces of information, like all the prep that player did before they even arrived at the casino. All you can see is what you observe they do. So that you could be missing some critical information, but as long as you understand, you got so much information, minutia, 8 hours, 5 days a week, boom, boom, boom. There's so much going on, maybe too much going on, but you can start looking for patterns. And unfortunately, you have to see if any of them work at a different casino because you can't play at the one you're at. So tips are: don't bring a bankroll to the casino, which you cannot afford to lose. Stop gambling when it is not going well because no one else will stop you. Always be kind to casino staff and remember to tip them for services rendered. Bring a buddy, someone you trust, to provide support while you're gambling. Don't drink and gamble unless you don't care about lowering the odds of winning. Take breaks to stay rested and focused, about 10 minutes every hour. Although if you're winning on a slot machine, no breaks. Learn about the usually unknown services like locking a slot machine for breaks. Style number 6, I've got a minute. Optimal performance for maximizing profit or using everything. This is where, I try to explain to people in essence that if you're going to learn one of my strategies, learn it well. Just do that. Too many people will win a jackpot based on a strategy that I provided, and suddenly the strategy is out the window, and now they're just going to spend, and then when it's all gone, they'll be like, right, I was going to work on that other strategy. and so do one at a time, learn it well. Do a second one well, learn it well. Only then should you begin to combine them. And one of the things you'll find is that you'll naturally combine them once you learn them each well. This is what I've seen. So I'm down to past 30 seconds past my time, more with delay. Thank you everybody for the show. I know everybody's got to run. So smash like button. What's the minimum bet to hit a hand pay or jackpot? Look at your pay table. The pay table will tell you how many credits you need to bet in order to win something that's around $1,200, and that's your minimum bet. Some people actually don't bet that much, so they don't get a hand pay because they think they don't have to pay taxes if it's less than $1,200, although everything is taxed, but they still do that. I hate to give that tip out though. All right, very active chat today. Let's see, I think I can actually tell you analytics. No, I guess I can't. All right. So thanks, everybody. If you're on the podcast, we will be switching over to Illinois slots in 2021. Got some interesting stuff going on there. I think they're deciding to call Chicago the Las Vegas of the Midwest. It's so much going on. So in any case, thanks, everybody. And I will, have fun, be safe, make good choices.